strength of the Newbee lineup is that their support duo is very versatile. On Kaka, we've been seeing what Phoenix on the 4th position. We saw Visage coming out, I believe, from the 5th position. So Newbee does have a lot of surprises in all of their roles. So I think the drafting phase might be maybe their advantage in the drafting.
Bringing up that Queen of Pain, Jack, you know the Newbee guys a little bit. SCC, and the last time he played that Queen of Pain, it was against the Sumail Puck. Got kind of handled in that laning phase. Is SCC the kind of guy who would shy away from having a repeat scenario like that, or would he attempt to rise to the challenge and show in a second game he can actually outclass Sumail in that mid lane?
I'm not sure if a military man would really want to shy away from anything, but that was a big point of concern. Even when they had multiple heroes rotating mid, Sumail still had a good time and was able to control a good chunk of that game. But the Queen of Pain does so many things for Newbee. This is one of SECC's most consistent heroes in terms of being able to clean up fights, end fights, if not start them himself, and then being able to scale, being able to just be all over the map, just a huge hero for them. And I was considering if this is something that EG might want to take away or counter themselves in this draft.
Well, at the end of the first phase, we will return ourselves here with the puck for Sumail and the Warlock Night Stalker combination. So maybe discuss the idea of perhaps banning out that Night Stalker to help out the potential pick here for the puck on Sumail, but he will have to face up against it, and the Warlock heal is also something that's great for a Night Stalker that likes to get aggressive early. Some teams would run this in like a dual offlane scenario if you wanted to go in towards some sort of a core Night Stalker. However, for Newbee, it has mostly been Kaka playing it. That versatility would be there for them if they wanted to try it out, though. Razor removed here as well, so not going to be getting any sort of the tuples. There were some panelists here talking about them earlier, but I think they got rid of him.
The tuples. Puck, Phoenix, Razor, Void.
I am surprised that the Razor is taken out because they beat them twice last time when these two teams faced up. So I thought they're going to let that one go and then make them show you that they can beat you with Razor, but they definitely do not want to contend with it in game number 1. The Razor in particular does kind of limit the amount of heroes you can pick. A lot of the melee strength heroes were counted pretty hard, Sven being one of them. So maybe Newbee is thinking towards that direction.
I look for when this Clockwork appears in this draft as well, a hero that's been very popular both early and later on in the draft and has that multiple position versatility. But Cap, I like what you said earlier about that mid matchup. So EG's philosophy against Newbee so far has been they want to run a tri-lane, they want to force Newbee heroes to stay at home and not rotate, and that sets up favorable matchups for Universe and Sumail, or potentially Artur as well. They trust a lot in their laning, they expect to get an advantage from that, and with favorable matchups and snowballs. So at the same time, if there has been a knock on KP or a bit of criticism of him, it's that maybe he doesn't do so well in these one-on-one matchups compared to some of the people he's been up against. So if they can isolate SCCC mid, if they can isolate KP and run a successful tri-lane this time, the games could look very different for EG.
And we did see that too when it came to the Razor. Like, despite defeating them twice in a row, it was something that gave KP a very rough time. You know, it's going to allow Evil Geniuses to have that mobility in their lanes. They can just leave Arteezy alone down on that bottom lane, and he can kind of handle those situations. Just as to watch for the Kaka rotations, but Razor being so survivable is always going to be a nuisance to try and get your team rolling.
Both times that Newbee have run Night Stalker in this tournament, it's been in the hands of Kaka. It seems like for KP, they seem to center more on those big team fight heroes. Do you think we've already kind of locked in our first 2 supports as we kind of referenced earlier?
Yeah, I think the Enigma is probably the big one I'd be looking at right here for a Newbee. Very good against the puck because of the phase shift. We saw that in that game when they were willing to give this puck over to Evil Geniuses before, despite barely any of the teams willing to do it before, and he just had their chance today. Plenty of nice plays coming from KP where he's always just waiting, hiding in the fog to that perfect moment where Sumail goes for the phase shift and then he tries to hop in there and hopefully having a BKB by that time. And that's where EG were going towards that Bane that ended up maybe being a bit too predictable or not quite winning those games for them up against Newbee. However, it was good at stopping that black hole. But the CM now being the hero here instead, we'll have to try and find out maybe something else that they can deal with it. But it's going to be a Newbee Sven.
Well, you referenced it, Newbee. Being able to ban away the Razor opens up some of these melee heroes. We have Sven, Bristleback, Ursa, all those kind of heroes that have been pretty popular the last 2 patches.
Yeah, I think when Sven is picked up, a lot of people focus on his ultimate and his damage output, but let's not forget about Warcry. Just giving your team plus 20 armor can change the complexion of the fight, really will force out more magic damage from the Evil Geniuses side. And Sven also was one of those cores that could adapt to a faster game or a slower game, depending what you see from the other side. So I feel like this is a very safe pick, and obviously Mugi has played it extremely well on the hero. It does limit you options in terms of whether you could go offensive or like offensive tri-lane now. Like, I don't think we're going to see Warlock Sven knocking on the offensive tri lane anymore. So it does give away a little bit of information to EG, but I mean, if it's a hero that you're comfortable with, you should definitely go with it.
Is that a tri lane you can abuse with Crystal Bait? Now the Clockwork picked up by Evil Geniuses.
Definitely not.
Too strong?
Yeah. And now with Clockwork being shown, I mean, we've seen teams playing Clock on the 3 and the 4 position, but yesterday it was MSS abusing the safe lane Sven with this Clockwork, able to actually get into the Sven, cog him up, and actually force out solo kills. So might be that's going to be Universe's role, but the strength of both like Night Stalker and Clockwork here is that you just leave yourself open. Depending on what the enemy team draft, if you want to speed up or slow down, you can move them to the 3 position or the 4 position. So both teams extremely versatile right now.
And unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe we've had a Zai Clockwork so far in the Manila Masters, but certainly something that I would be keeping open here. Someone who's going to be very mobile. And if we are talking about going like later in the game, this is a support that once he gets 6, he kind of just does what he needs to do, right?
Yep.
If you're this core Clockwork, you feel more pressure to get this Midas to try and keep up the farm. Your whole team has to be with you, constantly getting kills, keeping your own momentum rolling. But when it's support role, it can be a bit worse. And well.
Ooh.
I believe Newbee had that stumble with the Drow, but EG are going to try and do it for themselves.
Well, this is, they said they're going to do something different. And I keep bringing up the dichotomy of a faster game or a slow game. Looking at it like this is the faster game plan, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But going into Tidehunter Sven, is it going to be fast enough?
The cooldowns are pretty long on
I mean,
Tidehunter.
it really comes down to the first Ravage. If you blow that first Ravage and you don't get like 2 to 3 kill and you lose a couple of towers and you have the Ravage on CD, you are in a lot of trouble. So, of course, I think Tidehunter is going to have a little bit of tough time against Drow Ranger lane. The Drow pick also allows your Puck to have a dominant mid lane. It's a very powerful gambit here from EG, and Newbee moving forward have to pick up a very solid mid lane to make sure that SC is going to have a good time there.
And yeah, now we have a lot of different options for Evil Geniuses here too. This could potentially send us in towards a Universe Puck. There is a chance, I think, even if you want to get that faster pace.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that you have that Drow aura. But the other way would be we just give Universe the Clockwork. We go for kind of a sustained position 4. Maybe that's something like that, Undying here again. And EG could just be running at you. You see Newbee ban out the Medusa, great up against all that heavy team fight, and kind of a classic, especially from Team NP. You know, we talk about maybe borrowing some strats. That certainly would have been one.
Like you mentioned the Universe Puck, I like the position switch up here from EG, not necessarily giving away too much. Universe Puck as in the offlane was something that mostly they ran with great success in the last few patches, something that was banned out early against them by Newbee. And then speaking of distinctive heroes, Tide is something that for the most part only Newbee has run quite a bit. It keys their big team fight. But as Lumi mentioned, if they struggle in the laning phase, you have a Sven who wants to catch up in the jungle for the most part, a Tide who can also retreat to the jungle. Does that put too much pressure on them to hit their old timings with the Warlock and Tide to take fights? If they're not able to do that, they lose a lot of smaller objectives. They can be split pushed with this pick as well. And you know, we was thinking of Shadow Feed something as well with the Clockwork. That might be too greedy here, but also if Universe shifts to offlane, it could also work.
I think the other thing about Newbee's draft right now is that they don't have any counter push. When you have supports like Warlock and Night Stalker, you see a big creep wave coming. What do you exactly do against that? Sven, not the best. Neither is Tidehunter. Tidehunter could sit in front and anchor smash a couple of times. So this last pick for KP needs to solve a lot of things. You need counter push. You need a way to actually start the fight. You need early tempo from your mid laner. And what is left here?
You need a hero that matches up against the Outroll Devourer.
Yeah. I think Tinker being in the pool right now is a very powerful look at for Newbee. Sniper, we've seen SC play it once, does have a very good matchup against the OD, but very dangerous pick against Clockwork. So, like you predicted, Jack, it looks like it's going to be a Puck off lane. Or was it Trent?
It was a team effort, guys.
Okay, team effort. Team effort.
Let it go.
So, I'm feeling the Tinker here, but also at the same time, you know, you're not going to be doing anything until you get the BOT ampling. So, that might be too slow.
Ultimately, there's just too many problems to solve, right? You either have to focus on the high ground. Nice call, Lumi.
So this was their first game of the entire tournament, right? They went for this Sniper, and it was up against this kind of a similar idea from Team Secret, where they were running this Terror Blade. It's a lot of that heavy, fast push, trying to beat you on in, and they were successful. They had the Tidehunter. There could have been that situation. It was very, very similar, actually. You even had the OD in the mid lane, too. So Newbee, I would say they've kind of done this once, and now they're looking to do it again and not needing to mix up their strategies. This is something that they have done, they have succeeded with, they've won a lot of games. Looks good to me.
All right, Trent. Sounds like you've already put
count me in. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Second pick, favorable mid matchup, but also you mentioned the heroes that can get on top of the sniper, the clockwork, and the puck. There's a lot of counter initiation coming out from Newbee as well, and not a whole lot of tanky frontline for EG if they do go in on that sniper. So I like Newbee as well with this first game draft.
Well, you guys are doubters. I'm going to go with EG. They do have the early tempo advantage. They're going to force one bad Ravage out of the Tidehunter, and they are going to roll through them. So, Rockna to EG.
All right, our panel is split. The grand finals, it's here. Game number 1, Evil Geniuses, Team Newbee. I hand it off now to Toby1 and Merlini.
You know, it's a beautiful sight when a Drow Ranger has a lineup which is going to be massively buffed up. The EG lineup looks very sexy. At the same time, Newbee, they're coming in. It's the KP Tidehunter. It's the big team fight control. It's a sniper versus the OD. It's been successful before. Will it be successful again?
They've had a lot of time to prepare. It was a very long semifinals that EG just had to go through. But we haven't seen Drow too much, so I don't exactly know what we're going to expect from both of these teams and how they're going to use the Drow and deal against the Drow. That's
true. Like I think it was Lumen was pointing out, like, where's your deep push going to come? The Drow Ranger is one of these heroes that loves to force down your early buildings, force a reaction out. And is this really what we come down to? The money of China has paid off. They win the Tower War, at least.
Team Tower Showdown.
Moral victory over Compendiums. Sorry, Battle Passes. Rename. We can't have anything we had before. All right. So game 1, we'll roll off. It is going to be Zion to that support clockwork. So as you're actually predicting during the while the draft was going on that Universe Puck off lane, how do you actually feel he's going to do up against heroes like a Night Stalker, very known for shutting down pucks time and time again?
I think that's part of why they threw him in the off lane. Is that he is going to be shut down quite easily, and he has a Drow aura, so I think because you have the Drow aura, you want another scaling mid. I think Puck plus Drow is very susceptible to be taken down in the late game.
Hence, the OD kicks in.
Yeah, you want some sort of non-physical damage, I think, as your mid laner when you're up against a Sven.
Does this actually change the lineup as well for, like, the item build, sorry, for Newbee, where they have to look to prioritize more into the BKB for this Sven? Do you also want to delay that if this game does go later? Does it actually hurt him to pick up the BKB early? Should look towards the Blink, the Echo, the Armlet, things along this line instead?
BKB or not, I think he'll still get kited. There's so many things that he has to deal with. But yeah, if he doesn't get BKB, Astral, Gust, Silence.
Yeah, there's so many things that mess with him, but he needs to be the front liner. This is the way Newbee played this last time. They have their two big tanks, there's Sven as well as a Tidehunter in this case, and then SC just rips them apart. And that's where Newbee is going to be really, really tested. Can they win the positional battle against a Puck as well as a Clockwork, being the two critical ones that are going to affect Newbee's positions?
Certainly so. I think Sven's more of a Warcry bot to protect the Sniper. The Sniper is the key pick here and is going to be the one doing the majority of the damage. And their whole lineup is built around protecting him and making sure that he can just pew-pew from the back line.
All right, so we get to have that mid-battle. At the same time, top lane is going to go very much in favor of Evil Geniuses. This is just that easy kind of thing you can do with the Clockwork where he blocks the lane up. So Universe, even with Kaka there, he can't really harass out the Puck quite safely underneath the Tier 1 tower.
Can you figure out what they're going wild for, Toby?
Sound. I gotcha. All right, that's why we do audio commentary. All right, but this movement up on top lane, I'm interested to see like how Zion Universe try and really contest this. It's a defensive lane, Faith and Kaka here. Do they have enough to actually posture it out? This Clockwork has been one of the most successful heroes in zoning out top lane supports.
Generally, teams are pretty good about right-clicking the cogs very early on. Get a little bit of gold there.
Oh, Kaka's going to give us a little bit of time. Okay, so yeah, we can say that dual off lane. It's difficult. It's difficult for Newbee. How about the bottom lane? Are you going to get a lot of space for Arteezy? Tidehunter is kind of like one of the, well, at least in my mind, one of the worst heroes that you can put up against a Drow Ranger. Are you going to get levels, but Drow still has the potential for killing once you cranks at level 6, and there's a lot of space because you're still doing this 2-2 lane out from Evil Geniuses. So do you then start to think about the rotation coming in from Newbee? Do they try and bring support to KP, or do they just let him tough it out on the off lane?
I think just tough it out right now. Sumail's dominating the mid lane. He is actually crushing this matchup. 7 CS to 0. SCCC has his work cut out for him. Maybe certainly a confidence booster in game 2 and 3. of last series.
One thing you don't want to do, like after seeing what Sumail did with that farm, you do not want to let him just get further and further ahead. If this happens, well, you kind of know where we're going to end up. Even though the OD doesn't really have the same flair as Aghanim's Storm Spirit. It's a little bit more of a, I'm just so powerful you can't fight me kind of thing. SC knows this all too well as well. He had himself a terrific time on the OD.
We've seen plenty of big Sanity's Eclipses. I was looking at their desk, and I think Zai actually has like the hero drafting sheet in front of him, as opposed to Crit. So, wonder how much input he has on the draft.
Zai's the reference man. Let me consult the Book of Armaments. I need to go check out. I'm hearing something come through the speakers, which sounds pretty good.
Have you ever tried playing Dota without sound?
Yeah, it's called streaming with music. You don't hear anything. It's really upsetting, but it's at the same time, like with things like Invoker, having Sunstrikes popping on the map and you can't hear that as an observer, even left-right channel, that is freaky. I'm sure Pimp Munkle knows our pain for that one. He's been our observer for the course of this tournament.
Yeah, not sure which team is currently having issues.
Oh. We just had the... Okay, so yeah, it's just Newbee. Newbee is trying to work out what they need. Okay, so we're kind of breaking down most of this draft, and it looks like we won't have to break it down much further because, well, EG needs just a second. We're taking the jacket off. Things are getting serious. Oh, wait, he actually gives it to Sumail. Teamwork. This is an ultimate support player. I'm too cold. I shall give you my warmth.
You'd think the opposite with the way his CS is going.
That's the neck pillow. Like 90% of Sumail's heat escapes from his neck. That's why he wore the neck pillow to start with.
Some neck pillow meta coming out.
It's all about. I think they even had those available at the secret shop. All right, we're good to go, and I can hear the countdown actually pinging through the speakers. So the crowd can be satisfied, and we have ourselves Dota back and going again.
Yeah, Sniper still at 0 CS. This matchup is supposed to be slightly Sniper favored.
Well, he's had no real support, and Sumail is just posturing SC under the tier 1 tower. Okay, maybe that wasn't what he wanted to do. Actually imprisoned up the range creep, so SC with Shrapnel is starting to harass back the OD, going for a 2-1 build up in the Shrapnel. Okay, interesting position for Kaka. Some decent damage with the orb, but this is still a Night Stalker. He is a very, very tanky hero, and with the healing that comes in from Shadow Word, it's Zai who's the man who's low, having to retreat.
I can't stop looking at the CS chart where Sniper still has 0. Drow upsets it a little bit, but not this badly, and he's in terrible position right now.
It's definitely not bugged. He's got 5 denies to him. Turns for the Shrapnel, gets the high ground.
Once he gets that first CS, though, you'll start rolling. Sometimes you're in that little bit of a slump, man. This is a shutout right now.
Yeah, real problems. Everyone's trying to wait until he actually did. He did get his first CS. That's great for him, but up on top lane is when Newbee is starting to pressure. Universe into the tree lines, but because he's playing the Fog of War, they're unable to actually get the initiation off. But Newbee reading it right. While Zai is away, they're trying to fight him out. And actually, with Zai's movement off, he heads down to the bottom lane. Crit has his Frostbite ready. This should be the first blood. KP's out way too far. You get a little bit of cold arrow slow. And where is he trying to go? Trying to actually dodge the cogs of Zai. It won't happen. Rooted up, and KP will fall. Zai, the perfect rotation into first blood against the Tidehunter.
I like this early game plan from EG. They made sure to secure at least a level 2 on the puck so he can dodge the Stormbolt at will. And then after that lane is secured, then they can just move the clockwork down and just make Tidehunter's life absolutely hell.
Yeah, this was my concern I really did have. Wondering how Newbee secure this. In the past, they've kind of let KP sit on the safe lane and let heroes like Sven with more stronger supports go into that dual off lane, but
the answer is 30 seconds from now, Darkness will fall, but they don't have enough levels on Night Stalker. He's still level 1, so you need the silence to get the fear on him. But you also need to get the move speed too. So like he needs these levels up as soon as possible.
He does at least have the boots. That's one advantage. So at least he can move nice and quickly. Sniper again, trying to battle against Sumail. But what do you really do here, SC? Sumail is 19-10 to a 6-7 Sniper. I don't think Shutout really like describes his mid lane at the moment. And KP's now getting also nothing. 9-1, he's looking for his levels. He's just shy of level 4 at the moment. but he knows he can't really walk past the river mouth. The second he does that, he brings himself into a point where Crystal Maiden can just frostbite into Clockwork. And Zai's been missing for a long time.
You don't even need the
He's
frostbite.
been moving around. He's been looking at the bounty runes.
SCCC was scared. He scanned on the south side near the rune, and it didn't hit. But we've seen the Astro into the Cog setup is very devastating for heroes. You're not going to have a Force Staff or any way to get out of the Cog this early into the game.
Karka's movement is easily scouted out. That's Dire Observer Ward. Like, it's nearby. Actually, maybe Samael didn't have his vision. I thought he came in close enough for it. So Karka may be undetected, moving down to the bottom lane. Could potentially find Crit, who is in the process of stacking. So the Centaurs will try and help out. But Crit very wisely knows when you start with Void, there is no more stun to cancel the TP out.
They will take up the rest of the stack, but there's no big creeps left, so no big influx of gold for Newbee right now.
This bottom lane's still fantastic for Arteezy. 5 minutes in, when you've had yourself such a defensive lane, and you're up to level 5, that's a lot more than what Newbee can really deal with. He's gone for a 2-1-2 build. So the 2 points in cold arrows is more than enough to slow down both Karka and KP if they decide to fight underneath the tower. He can just kite them into the trees.
And along with kiting, he's just getting tons of experience too. He just needs to get level 6 to make sure these lanes go even better for EEG.
Zai's rotation not working the way he really would have wanted to. It's a shrapnel charge out of SC, and that's all. But here they go again now on Arteezy with a Void in the Gush. Arteezy slowed down a hell of a lot. Maybe he doesn't actually have the movement speed with the Fairy Fire, but Gus pushing him back. Arteezy, he's actually juking them through the trees. They'll get vision again. The kill will go the way of Newbee, but revenge is trying to be here. Karka, the damage, the rift, and the last point of attack. Almost escaping. Universe arrives just in the nick of time. Now into the middle lane, SC encroached on. Vor actually just locked in position, nowhere to go. Zai will take the kill. Unwillingly, he did it with a battery assault. They probably would have won that on Samael. Either way, it works the way of EG now, 3-1.
Sven's getting absolute free farm in the top lane, and Warlock's getting good levels. So Newbee still can fight even if Tidehunter isn't super strong right now. They don't necessarily need the Ravage if they have the Rock early. And EG's lineup, you are certainly scared of them taking down Rosh very early. You need to be able to threaten the Roshan pit, and that's what Newbee has done time and time again inside the Roshan pit. Have the Tidehunter, Watermelon Man just sit out there threatening Ravage. But I think it's going to be a little bit different this time with like the Clockwork and the Puck. These heroes can split up the fight perhaps much better than the Tidehunter can.
That is true, but that's when Newbee are able to run that, like, you go for one, you go for the other, both Ravage as well as Golem, two things where EG, they may feel like they get the good advantage in the fight by finding one out of position, but then the other one just drops the rock and SC gets the space, and really that's the important thing. So the more and more I look at this, it's like, it's great that EG has managed to get so much farm on their early start. The fact that Sniper is not going to do anywhere near as much damage. So EG only have to worry about this vent for now, but 1 or 2 good fights for Newbee, and it won't take long for SC. His Sniper previously just slaughtered. Get a couple of Ultra kills, and you're back in this game.
They're trying to pressure the towers right now, but they did okay, I would say, during the first night.
Samael actually in trouble underneath the tier 1 tower. SC was there. The silence from Karka. His rotation is in the last little bit of night. 20 seconds until the daytime arrives. Even Zai's cogs help Karka get up with a Void and an assassination. SC finds another kill.
This Hunter and a Night buff is just ridiculous. Now that people know that it's flying, but there's very little way that they can actually kill him in the trees. It's so incredibly difficult to deal with the flying part. And
That's
just on the tail end of the night, they get a very important kill.
That's where you need your control. Universe will be able to provide that a little bit later on, but for now, that doesn't really exist.
Double damage.
And how they really force the issue. We can get to a point soon where Faith can just sit up on that top lane. Mugi was able to pick up the early Morbid Mask, EG. They were one of the teams that did this heavily in the past, back when Fear wasn't their coach, but it's actually the player. Just rotate into the jungle, give that safe laner a lot of farm, a lot of levels, and then you can see 4-stars coming up, a way to counter out the Clockwork, not to mention higher levels up, which means higher levels up in Fatal Bonds, bringing in the Chaotic Offering, and then maybe even cutting them themselves.
I wonder if the Force Staff first build is going to come out for Sniper. Pretty important versus Clock and Puck. I think you want to be kiting as much as possible if you're Newbee. Same with EG.
It looks like he's focusing on the range for now, so the Hurricane Pike's the first one. Oh, sorry, the Dragonlance, and then eventually he'll go into the Hurricane Pike. This is EG now trying to posture Faith back to the T1 tower. Just get him far enough away. Bottom lane, Kaka. Issues when Zai's able to initiate like that. A good pickoff. So range her up to level 8, so she will start pressuring that bottom tower. There has to be a reaction here from Newbee unless they just let the tier 1 tower go.
I think they still need more levels on the supports of EG before they can start taking down the T1s. And we see Mugi, as you mentioned, giving up the lane of faith and power farming the Ancients. He did expend his ultimate, but at the same time, Crystal Maiden was able to drop an Reserve Ward that is eyeing Mugi as I speak.
Yeah, both of those Orbs wards. There's actually one behind the T1 tower as well, so if Newbee want to try and make any kind of play with his Ven, EG will know about it a very long time.
Look at those Observer Wars, though,
reaches him.
for the Radiant side. There's one there, another one to the southeast,
Yeah,
and another one in the middle lane.
Actually committed 3 of them in total.
Yeah, they know the Sven's going to be looking to farm with the stacks. They just need to get the Sniper and the Sven very, very big. And then if they lose their T1 towers, it's not the end of the world for them. They just need to be able to secure their T2s and protect their Ancients.
At that bottom tier 1 tower, RTZ's taking care of it now. There's still fortification available for Newbee, so if they want to slow this down, which they kind of have to, they can do so. But RTZ got the choice. Does he bring it within deny range? No, he leaves it just one attack outside of deny range. Kura getting hit by the tower was maybe not part of the plan, but it'll be fine.
So close to level 6 on clock. In this 10 minutes, I don't know where the tome was used, if any.
Sniper's actually rotating over. They've seen the triple stack of Ancients. So EG may see a way to try and contest this. Maybe not the greatest idea, however, next to the Shrine, plus with Tidehunter Ravage up, it is a concern.
They have the mobility to pressure multiple lanes. They don't even have to have heroes there. They can pressure with the Precision Aura, which is maxed already on RTZ. And then the
TPs are coming in. Faith's actually arriving on bottom lane. They want to hold this tower. Within deny range, it's up to EG if they want to try and fight it. Faith is sitting just outside of the range of that rocket flare.
That was a sad tower kill. Newbee not even attempting for the deny. But it is nighttime, in 40 seconds. Maybe they can make some moves now. I do see a smoke in the inventory of Warlock, who just hit level 6.
Oh, Mugi, you know what he wanted to do. Sitting in the mid lane, he was about to prep the Storm Bolt to attack into Sumail. Main reason why that probably would have resulted in a kill is SC was rapidly approaching, but it's the top lane where Kaka, trying to fend himself underneath the tower, triggers off Darkness. They at least got that out from him. Crits on the run, but KP is his TP in that has them scared. The Gush will connect. Kaka right behind him. Here comes your Orb. Universe, Dream Call's available, but silenced up by Kaka. The Ravage will be committed. Universe can't get far enough away, so Sumail has to buy him a little bit of time with the imprisonment. And then the Rock, it drops, connecting on Zion Sumail, but the Orb damage plus the Dream Call holds him there. The OD ulti has done some burn. It actually finds one kill on the Tidehunter, but Mugi trapped in by Zai. Point blank range hook shots doing his work, but at the same time, remember what the play is from Newbee. They keep SC on the back lines. Assassination looking for the target. It connects, but Sumail, he'll live a little bit late on his own imprisonment, but they live. They'll trigger the Shrine, and EG lose nothing of value.
Those two defensive Astrals were so big coming out from Sumail, and all of these early game items, the early Force Staff, really saved them. And yeah, the Puck just got way too many spells off in the fight because they were able to Astral him during the tail end of the Silence and during the tail end of the Ravage.
That's where you want to see those bigger levels on the Night Stalker. Only 1 point up in Crippling Fear. That's not going to be enough. And now because you've committed both your Rock as well as your Ravage, EG will have no problem taking both the Tier 1 tower on the top and the Tier 1 tower in the mid. Normally OD's terrible at pushing down Tier 1 towers, but with a Drow buff up, it's quite easy.
And you can see how hard of a time Newbee have to getting to that Drow Ranger. You don't even need a killer. You just need to be able to disable the marksmanship at the very least in order to win some of these fights.
Kaka, he's got some vision now with his own Obs and Sentry planted down.
That's not good, though, when you're running away as a Night Stalker during nighttime. This is your time to shine.
Yep, but you've got no 2 big ultimates to back you up. SC is now going to be the man to back him up. Zai, very visible. Hook shots up, actually catches both of them inside the cogs. A quick push, Night Stalker could fly away. The Shadow Word trying to give SC a little bit more life, but Zai wants to stand his ground. KP to the front lines, he has to be that tank again as the assassination, and only chips down on Zai. Doesn't bring him anywhere near critical, and Zartizi looking for the kill. Universe will help him out. The slow is just so much. Night Stalker, he's hidden inside the trees. Will it be enough? Nope, Universe, and we get that last little point of damage in. So Night Stalker will fall, and EG keep the pressure up. A Drow lineup taking more and more towers. It's a very good space for EG.
It's kind of the opposite of some of their other games where they focus more on the late game decision making and the late game scaling, but this game, they're trying to take huge advantage of the big windows in between the ultimates from Newbee. They didn't really want to fight at the T2, but at the same time, they can't just let objectives keep falling and falling and falling. So Newbee, look for them to strike back with the round 2 of their ultimates, but this time they need more than 0 kills last time.
Yes. But man, you said it yourself, like, how is EG going to play this Drow Ranger lineup? And we've definitely got the answer. And Newbee, ultis are up in 12 seconds. That's when we'll have the Chaotic Offering back up and running. Roshan is an option for EG. They may want to wait a little bit longer. Arteezy, actually not going for more maneuverability. He's going to go for Invis. Got the Shadow Blade queued up.
The Silver Edge onto the Tidehunter, along with a Gust, would be huge.
Hook
for
shot.
them.
Zai trying to actually catch out Karka as he denies up the mid tower. But he doesn't find the mark, which means hook shot on cooldown for a minute.
It's already 4 towers out. I'm not sure if EG want to press their luck here now that it is nighttime and the ultimates are up on the side of Newbee. They don't have a good way to actually get in the fight. Nothing like a Clockwork Hook shot. I don't think they have any blinks as of yet. Just one on the Sven, but he's not really the one that you need in first. You need the Tidehunter in first.
And Newbee want to fight. They'll go right underneath the Radiant Observer Wall, but under the cover of smoke, EG and number wiser. And who's going to be the one to break it? Crit's pretty close, but they want Samael. They need a jump. There's your push. Does he actually go? Imprisonment was on cooldown for 3 seconds time, so they take the quick kill onto Crit. Nasty will take anything he can get at the moment. And then push to the tier 1 tower with your double ultis up.
Pay respects to another fallen Crystal Maiden. Poor CMs. Just have to tank the smokes.
But there's the advantage for Samael to actually go that 4-staff nice and early. Able to have the ability to get across the river. So even when his imprisonment is down, that was the perfect opportunity for Newbee to fight. Now it's EG who want to be the aggressors. 4-man smoke, push into KP, silences, great dream call committed as well. The imprisonment will kill him as he comes out, but Zai looks at more. The hook shot up, they've caught out Faith, trying to get back towards the tower. He's able to do so. Now in range and protection of SC and the tier 2. But Arteezy's looking for his fight as well. Up against Karka, and Karka knows it. He doesn't stand a chance against that Drow Ranger. TP's out straight away.
This is very problematic for Newbee. They can't even use their ultimates to take a fight. The Tidehunter is just simply not tanky enough. He's still building towards a mech. Normally they have their mech and they're around forcing objectives right now, but they've lost already 4 towers. They're probably soon going to lose Roshan, and they've only gotten 1 tower of their own. And they really need this double ultimate combo as well as the Sven to be able to just chew through this relatively squishy but elusive EG lineup.
But Sven is at the point where he's starting to get a lot more powerful. He's finished his Blink Dagger, got the Mask of Madness. He's going to go for any kind of BKB play, and instead he's actually got the Echo Saber lined up. So he knows himself, Moogie has to do the damage. He's not just a front liner.
I don't foresee him doing that much damage though without the BKB. He's the only one that can get in there. Maybe if he had a Blink Ravage to follow up, they could do a lot of damage. But he's just going to get like Astral and Kited, and even one Frost Arrow is going to be hugely problematic for him.
You might still be happy with that though, because it's still giving more and more space to SC. Faith runs the protection on the back lines. If someone jumps SC, what you just drop rock, you got to get through Ravage as well.
He doesn't hit very hard though.
He doesn't at the moment, but this is one of those things too, when you put down the shrapnel, you wonder if EG are actually capable of fighting in that. Crystal Maiden and Puck are not going to be healthy. Drow Ranger is not really the tankiest of heroes, especially when you go for this Shadow Blade build. He's just going to go into the BKB as the next item. Suppose you get the stats from your Silver Edge a little bit later on. There's Dream Coil again. Very liberal with this universe time and time again. 70 seconds only the cooldown. Cash the hero, hold him there, ensure the kill, move on to next objective.
It's time to group up if you're Newbee. They are just getting slaughtered around the map right now. Nothing's going their way at the moment. I suppose Ancients, but that's small consolation.
They're making sure 2 KP's getting this one. The mech, it has to come. They need to have that regeneration to kick in for the team fight.
And now Newbee will go back to the game plan of playing around the shrines. That's kind of the only forward position that they can fight. High ground with Shrine seems to be their only way to take fights right now.
Overall, it actually could be a hell of a lot worse. With all these early buildings going down, the advantage does stretch up to 6k in favor of Evil Geniuses. So the money is good for them, but considering how much map control Newbee have on how scared they are to move out in the map, they're still finding a decent amount of cash in the lanes and the jungle.
Yeah, it's just simply because they're farming Ancients so heavily. But
that's the power of Sven. I'm also waiting for someone. As the two Obs wards, the Xayah Sentry Ward is actually just out of range in the mid. It doesn't see that Radiant Obs. Only barely missing.
Might be time for another smoke soon coming out from Newbee.
Well, they just did it. SC is hovering in the mid. But it needs the wraparound from Newbee. They have to get in behind the OD if they want a chance to kill him. And in order to do that, they've got to go the very long way around. Darkness triggers. And this is a pretty big warning flare to Evil Geniuses. Darkness falls, and you hide. You don't see enough.
They knew exactly where they were. I dropped a scan, pretty much where that Dire Observer Ward is. It scanned red. They know that they're not doing Roshan, so they don't actually have to move outside. They were going for a smoke pick into perhaps Roshan, and now Newbee had to be confronted with the prospect that their smoke was completely wasted, minus the 2 Observer Ward drops.
Yeah, even that Roshan you're talking about, like EG don't have, well, I say they actually have some decent fight around Roshan, but the only scout they have is the Clockwork Rocket. But the speed that Newbee would kill off Roshan is actually too slow because the sniper doesn't do enough damage yet. So they can't even surprise him with a Roshan.
Definitely cannot. They'd have to commit God Strength to it, but clumping 5 people inside the pit against...
Oh, Night Stalker's in this room. He barely missed EG. EG were all smoked up looking for a kill, and they'll find absolutely nothing. They know the bounty room was taken. Kaka's even checking the pit himself. He's wondering where the hell everyone is. No one has any idea.
Yeah, RTZ just hiding along the side. I don't think they have any detection. Just 1 sentry, just put into face inventory.
They got Dust of Appearance also over on Kaka, but he's not up on that top lane at the moment. But that's the beauty of a Night Stalker. Does have some decent movement speed, combining it up with phase boots. It's a 4-4-1 base. That's without phase boots being triggered. So Newbee are going to take their second tower, which took 21 minutes. But the trade-off is they're having a lot of damage done to that bottom tier 2 tower. It's the Dro Aura being triggered, combining up with the new and improved catapult. It does a lot of damage to buildings, so that tier 2 tower doesn't stand a chance.
They just need to stall out during the nighttime. Just play it a little bit slowly, bide your time, and then wait until you're strong enough to take on these 5-on-5 engagements where Tidehunter's usefulness is going to be less and less as the game progresses. When you're talking about like BKBs coming out at some point, and of course Rabbit just doesn't do that much when Tidehunter isn't able to farm up. His net worth is staggeringly low for a KP Tidehunter.
The Dire are scanning, looking for a hit. Samael's only on this a little bit late, and the reason why he's waiting is because his Blink Dagger is coming out in the courier at the moment. So 22 minutes in, Samael has his Hurricane Pike plus the Blink Dagger. Not too shabby for that OD. He is the second highest net worth, only trumped by Draw Ranger, who is currently farming up the Dire Ancients. That's one way to stop Newbee from farming up Ancients. Take them yourself.
They're not making the mistake, though, EG are not, of going into this particular area. They know that by process of elimination, they have to be here. They don't need Observer Wards because throughout most of the games of the tournament, that's where Newbee has been playing around, even when they're ahead or when they're behind. It doesn't really matter. They love that shrine area, and they're very careful about the shrine usage. And EG are just avoiding that area like the plague.
Yep. The only thing EG needs to do to keep tabs on Newbee is just keep firing out a couple of rockets, even if they lose all their wards to the sentries, which has happened. Actually have 2 very, like, more defensive wards on the southern side of the map.
Newbee are trying to pull them back into that area, but EG are simply not biting. They just know that that is no man's land.
There's the smoke. They're going to go again, but the question is, what are you going for? Do they want the kills?
They see Clock right now.
Oh, the rocket flies over. Samael is the nearest one. Kaka doesn't actually have the sight. They move together. Now the darkness triggers. Look at Samael. Instantly, he knows. Back to the tier 2 tower, a 4-staff away, having his Blink Dagger. And again, Newbee with an unsuccessful smoke. EG will evade.
That has to be like all their smokes. They've just chain smoked these for what, past 3-4 minutes, and they haven't been able to get anything. And now, what is their avenue back into this game?
It's wait for EG to make a play, right? Either that, or you just continue to try and secure your own Ancients. You keep getting money into SC. They're not falling behind with their cores. They're staying pretty neck and neck. even though the Sven would probably like to be ahead, it's the rest of the team of EG, which is the reason why this graph keeps going up and up. The fact that Clockwork's getting farmed, Puck's getting farmed, the Tidehunter is the primary one who is behind. And he needs to play catch-up. But the Ancients have to go to Sven as well as the Sniper. There's just no more space to farm on this map.
First BKB comes out. That is a sign for EG to use a smoke of their own. They claim the high ground from the Shrine, and Newbee.
Oh, Arteezy's got the perfect position here, but what does he want to go on? He's still invis. Actually gets a 3-man silence, a Dream called down. They make sure Warlock has no presence in this game. Same for SC. Perfect control, perfect initiation. 3 down for Newbee. KP wants to TP out, but Hope will not allow him to achieve it. A triple kill for Sumail. A perfect engagement for Evil Geniuses. And the issues just keep rolling in for Newbee.
KP just stood like a sitting duck right there. He was just staring down the Drow Rage with BKB, but they ignored the Tidehunter. That was the best part of their plan right there. They immediately eliminated the Warlock. Without the Rock Drop, there was very little chance of them winning the fight. And finally, EG take a fight away when Newbee had to back away from that Shrine area. They waited very patiently for 10-15 minutes for Newbee to be at a disadvantageous position. And swoop in, take a fight, take Roche. They're playing very smartly.
Yeah, EG have this really figured out for the moment. Universe gonna find himself a friend. As Moogie starts to TP, Crit gonna arrive in time, hits the Frostbite, and Moogie, what's your choice? He's got God Strength, but he's not gonna run away from this one. The body block from Universe is too good. Arteezy hits up the hill and takes the kill on the Sven, who is now dead for 50 seconds. They're gonna find another one as well. Warlock trying to run out of here, but the orb damaged Sumail. Still with 48 stolen intelligence. And there you can see Immortal to boot. It's time for more towers to die. And Newbee only have 1 remaining out of tower left.
And there has been little contest from the get-go. Newbee just have not found that one teamfight that they needed to get themselves back in the game.
It just doesn't exist when EG have such great positioning. And having that Shadow Blade as well, Arteezy, like in that fight in the mid, he saw so much for his team, allowing Universe to have the perfect positioning. And they're going up. So 6 seconds until Sven's back up again. Sumail popping inside. Doesn't want to stick around too hard though, as SC is getting some decent damage. The bigger you are, the harder you do fall. You do not want to die and give any kind of advantage to these cores of Newbee, and they will be the ones to take it if they can win the fight. This is the reason why EG are playing so defensively. Do not take a risk, do not give advantage.
Yep. Build up your BKBs, play your under Aegis, don't fight when you're at half HP. And Newbee, they're going to have some fighting spirit of their own once they get the BKB on the Sven. Moogie's been in a very tough position here as the Sven. You want to be able to do damage, but at the same time, if you don't build any survivability items or farming items, you're just going to fall way far behind the other cores. And the Sniper in this game also has no steroid. There's no Bloodlust, there's no Drow Aura, there's no...
Sumail. Run, Faith. Run. Sumail does still have the Hurricane Pike, and he'll go in for this one. KP will trigger the mech. Now, Sumail is still sitting with a haste rune and 16 stolen intelligence. He's not going to go any further. Realizes maybe that is a little bit more than he can chew.
You can tell that they're deathly afraid of him. Yeah, he's the Grim Reaper. Just waiting to chop off all their heads with the Sandy's Eclipse. They can't let him stack up the intel, but at the same time, they have no way to really keep him from attacking. Whereas on the side of EG, you have just much better control for the fight.
You need to get like later into the game, get the BKB, get like a halberd up onto the Sven, something along those lines, but it's still a nightmare for him, and now Tidehunter's going to lose a lot of protection. The full Silver Edge is done on Arteezy.
Yeah, KP doesn't go for Blink very early. He almost always goes for like a one team fighting item first, either a hood or a mech. And when you just have to lumber into the fight like that, normally people are very scared of you. You're like, okay, just get away from this guy. But now that you have the Silver Edge, you can just burst him down at the start of the fight with a Gust, no problem.
Yep, and this is the reason why you're seeing KP change up his quick buy. Having the mech, sure, but now he's looking directly into the Blink dagger. He knows that jump has to be perfect for him, which will then allow Sven to just jump in and murder. That's the plan. And Sven actually has his BKB. Doesn't have it on him just yet. In fact, now hook shot into the mid. Oh, there goes Sniper. Goodbye, KP. Sniper is no buyback, and Sumail's going for more to the cover of his own BKB, killing off Faith, racking up 44 stolen intelligence, but he's stolen more than that from Newbee. He may have just stolen this entire game. 8-1 now on this OD, and GG. We don't even hit half an hour, and Evil Geniuses take game 1 of this best of 5 grand final.
looking at recent portraits of Samael, it looks like he's aged a few years from just single-handedly carrying EG in some of these games. They didn't even need anyone else, it seems like, for the latter half of the game.
Yeah, that was just